So the average person does not just simply decide, doggone it, I want to be a machinist, and poof, they're a machinist. But Cy Swan's not your average person. Cy Swan's 90 years old, or you will be when, in July, I guess? Yeah. I met him 21 or 22 years ago. He was a much younger man then. He could still do 10 pull-ups when he was 70. But in this machine shop, this guy makes things like this cannon. He makes things like this mortar. He makes anything that you might ever think you would need for ranching or shooting or four-wheeling or logging or blacksmithing. That's what he does with these machine tools. Let's look at his gear, and he'll tell us about how he came from being a cowboy and a blacksmith and a mountain climber and an airplane pilot to being a machinist and a scuba diver. So after we look at the lathe and the mill and the gear, we're going to come back and talk about the technical details on these. This whole tube was made right here in this shop, including the riflings in the barrel. There's another cannon barrel here that was significantly made in this shop, and the mortar, which is a scale model of a Civil War mortar that was lethal for, what city did it level? Savannah, Georgia, was leveled by the dictator, and this is a 20%? Sorta scale model, sorta, of the dictator. We'll talk about how he made this stuff happen in this little old shop, but first, let's look at his 1953 Monarch lathe. So I don't think I'd known you for a month before I realized how proud you were of this lathe, or how pleased you were that you had it. Tell us, what's the brand, what's the year, where'd it come from, why do you like it? And then you'll tell us about the guys who have helped you figure it out.
Okay, well, this is a Monarch lathe. It was probably on a Navy boat. It was made in 1953, and it was sitting someplace in Korea, and a guy from Robinson Trading Company bought it and brought it over here. And it sat there in their yard. He had it overpriced for several years. And my friend Doc said, if you want a lathe, there's one there, and we ought to try to buy it. So we went over and we offered Adam $1,500 for it, which for this lathe was cheap. It didn't have all the tooling with it.
And it was 30 years ago.
Yes.
Okay.
He took it and grumbled.
No chucks?
It had a chuck,
okay,
but it wasn't a very good one.
Okay.
I have an excavator that's a pretty heavy machine, and I boomed it down flat and was able to pick it up. It weighs about 6,000 plus, I'm sure.
So your excavator was stiff-armed all the way out,
right,
but you get her off the ground and bring that house and all on your excavator through that 14-foot door or 16-foot door?
Yeah, and be careful.
Yeah, be careful. Now, did you have a tagline on it while you were in the driver's seat, or you were just letting her dangle?
No, I had to dangle, and I was just scooting it on the ground.
Oh, yeah.
And I could catch, I can't remember, well, one end of it was a little heavy, and if I'd catch that end on the concrete, I could turn it a little as I went. Because I had to come in here with it kind of pointed this way, and then catch it and turn it and set it down. But I could jockey it around after I got in here a little bit.
What role, now this is kind of an obvious question, but describe to us some of what you did on that beautiful Revolutionary War looking pirate cannon. It's a pirate cannon, right?
It's whatever you want.
It is, yeah, but it looks like something that Blackbeard would have been proud to own.
He would have, actually.
He would have been happy. Was this the right lathe for that job?
Yes.
Big enough?
Barely.
Ah. What was the limiting factor?
This or the length, actually, because I had to bore. This isn't a closed breech gun. It's an open breech gun that you can take the breech plug out.
Yes.
And I had to get the tooling around back of the cannon barrel far enough that I could bore that plug and thread it.
Oh, so you had the length times 2.2
right,
or something
right.
to get out
so
there, yeah.
This had to get clear around to the end and still be hooked up to the mechanism here that makes it thread.
Okay, so 1953, they had been belt drive up until somewhere around here. This was an early gear drive, probably?
Not too early.
Okay.
They had gear drives prior to that, in the 40s.
Is this thing tough? I know that a friend of ours was in here using your lathe and crashed it and didn't hurt any of the gears.
It's pretty tough, yes.
And accuracy's pretty good.
It's got a little wear right in front of the chuck here. There's several thousandths that it's not quite true.
Okay.
But the rest of the table's fine. It's just right there. That's where you use it the most. That's where the maximum amount of wear is, and it's worn a little.
So this was key to your Canon. Let's go over and look at this Cincinnati mill that I got.
For the Canon, that little bit of wear had nothing
to do with it.
No problem at all.
When we get back
for most of the stuff, I do it.
No, it doesn't make no difference. When we get back over to the Canon, we'll talk about rifling it. But first, the other big machine, and two big machines in here. One's your radial drill, and one's this Cincinnati mill. Talk to me about this.
Well, this is a dual-headed mill, and all that means is that it has a vertical head and a horizontal head.
Touch it so the people know what you're talking about.
Well, this is the vertical head, and it runs a different set of tools than this does.
So this will run tools right here horizontally.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's got a big arbor that goes in there, and you can hang stuff on this that solidifies it. They actually come off this dovetail and pulls out. And
brace stuff?
Yeah.
How often do you do anything like that?
Not very.
Yeah, but you can if you need to.
I use this mostly. But every once in a while I need that, and it's very nice to have.
Lots of power.
Yeah. I've snapped a tooth. In fact, it had a broken tooth in it, and I welded it and reground it myself, and it worked for several years, and then it popped off again, and I was able to find a replacement
online. You find a guy that would send you the guts.
Yeah.
Wow. So this wasn't part of the Canon. The Canon, you had a littler mill in here, a little more conventional mill.
Yeah.
And that you did a ton of work with that over the years.
Yeah, it was a Van Norman, and it was a good mill. In fact, it was a better, more accurate than this mill is.
Yeah.
This old guy's been through some stuff. It's probably made in the 30s.
Okay.
And it too was on a boat and sitting on the dock in Korea, and it was full of sand when I got it.
Gosh. So you got this at a local auction. What'd you give for this at the auction?
I think $130.
$130. Yeah. Like that. And then you had to buy tooling. You had tooling from the Van Norman, but you had to buy some bigger tooling.
Yeah, they were totally different.
Yeah. Okay. So when I started coming up here, I began to see things that I had never seen before, like that lathe up close, like the other milling machine, began to think those thoughts. And Cy has offered to help me get a lathe set up in my shop and a mill, but I haven't felt like I needed it. I mean, I've got Cy. He can do these things for me. But I did get my little radial drill. You've seen that little Arboga Maskiner. Man, I love it. And Cy helped me find that because I had seen this big old monstrosity working here in this shop on a couple projects we had worked on.
We drilled so many 1/4-inch holes with that thing one time that I can't remember how many. It was in the hundreds.
It was way into the hundreds.
Yeah.
So this is a radial drill, and obviously it's the big brother to the one of mine. Once I had seen this and how it would drill big holes relatively effortlessly, I knew I had to have one. Tell us about this old boy. I mean, you got it from HPS and you had to do some work. What did you have to do to make this thing run?
Well, the boom was cracked badly. It had been tipped over when they turned it loose. They're so top heavy with this big transmission up here that when they're unbolted, this isn't part of it actually. This is the whole block. Yeah. Anyhow, it was broke, and I was able to weld that back together, jacked it back up, and got it in place. And it's a fairly decent job.
And then the electrical problem. You had a major electrical project.
The motor that lifts the column had to be rewound. And this is a 440 volt motor over here, but I'm running it on 220, but it's still got enough power that it runs it plenty well for what I do.
So let me just throw this down. Not only is he a self-taught machinist, but he's self-taught electrician. And he's not worried about dealing with three-phase and 440 and 240, and it just curls my hair. And of all the accidents he's had, I just can't imagine you haven't electrocuted yourself yet, but you haven't.
I've had some pretty good shocks.
The story. So his oldest daughter, Dina, beautiful, beautiful girl. And she played basketball for the University of Oregon.
1 year.
One year. So she was athletic and blonde and a ranch girl, and man, she was all that in a bag of chips. And she brought home her boyfriend from U of O one time, and he was a pentathlon or a...
Oh, that was from down south, yeah.
Yeah. Brought a young college-age kid
That was
up here.
after she was out of school.
Yeah. And Cy was a formidable guy then. You were probably still running 30 miles a week when you were in your 50s.
Probably, yes. More than likely.
So here's the college star and wanting to impress the girl's parents.
He just missed the Olympics.
He just barely, yeah. So Cy and Maxine have got a big yard here. And they had New Zealand high-voltage electric fence between the yard and the cattle. Fair enough? Pretty stout electric fence. And so the kids out there in shirts and probably shorts and no shirt and strong and sweaty and barefoot, or do you have shoes on?
I can't remember.
Doesn't matter. So I heard suddenly a scream like a little girl slammed her finger in the door. And he went out there, tell the story.
I don't even remember, Scott.
Oh, I remember the story. Went out there, what happened? Oh, your fence, it shocked the piss out of me. Mowing the lawn, he got tangled up.
Oh, that's right.
And Cy said, this wire right here? Yeah, that wire right there. This one? And Cy bent down and took the wire in his teeth. He said, that doesn't seem bad to me. So you can just imagine that the college boy got a new definition of what tough might look like. So before I jump back over onto this cannon and this mortar and we talk about some of the cool details that he put in when he made them, this Rockwell hardness tester, I mean, it belongs in a machine shop, right? But mostly this is an appendage to your knife making.
Yes, it is. I think that you need to know what you're doing and how your process is affecting your product, and this tells you.
And when he says product, we have other videos about he makes and sells knives all over the world. They're great knives. Green Valley Forge, check him out. But this by putting pressure on a little, is that a diamond point?
Yes, there's a little tiny diamond point in there.
Little diamond point. And it presses on different alloys, pieces of metal that you put in, and then it will tell you, based on how hard it had to press before it indented, what the hardness is on the Rockwell scale. And that can be useful in a machine shop, too, right? If you're trying to test what you're going to be...
Yeah, oh yeah.
You got to know.
For all kinds of stuff. And they had them at the big machine shop there in town, but they got rid of it.
Yeah.
Nobody knew how to use it.
Yeah, couldn't use it. Huh.
And the new ones are electronic.
Oh, yeah. Beep. Done. All right. Let's talk about the details on his Dictator mortar and on his Blackbeard's Ghost cannon. So this is a breech loading cannon. The projectile and the charge go right in there. And then the breech plug threads in. I'm on the wrong side of the cannon for this. But he turned all the threads. He bored all the holes. And these different components, this was not all turned out of a single piece of steel. How many pieces of steel are in this made-up barrel, Cy, that you sweated together? And we'll talk about what sweating
3, 4, 5. I think it was 5.
5 pieces in gradually smaller diameters. That the inner diameter was turned, the outer diameter was turned with, what, 1,000th of interference?
1,000th and a half per inch.
1,000th and a half of interference, collision, per inch between the pieces that slide over each other. You heat up the big one and it expands, and slide in the smaller one and it contracts. So there is just a friction fit right here, right?
That's all.
That's it. Friction. Serious friction. Under compression. And then the next one is where? Here?
Yep. Well, there's this one, this one, this one.
Okay. There's a piece. There's a piece. There's a piece.
This. I think this piece and this piece are the same.
Okay. And then this slides in. And this slides in. These are called trunnions. Did I help you weld those on? I think I did. I think I got in there with some 7018 and welded around in there. I'm not sure. These caps blacksmith bend. You made the nuts, the brass nuts?
Yes.
Made those nuts. These are called trails. Those came out of my shop. 3-inch black walnut, Oregon black walnut trails. All the strapping, all the hooks, all the concept. Now these wheels came from other stores, didn't...
They came from Montana.
Montana. You put the axle in there?
The axle was with them.
The axle was with them.
They were rotten in places and they're very dry. I need to really soak them in oil or something and get them expanded a little bit. But
Soak them in antifreeze. So if you haven't figured out how this thing works, you're about to see it go off. But it's a breech loader, 2 1/4 inch diameter projectile, Keith wad cutter pattern that Cy made the mold for and cast them himself out of lead. You thread in the breech plug after you put the projectile in the charge, wrapped in tin foil. You try not to make any sparks. You thread it on in. You put this handle through here and tighten it down because, well, just because it's a cannon. Bang, you tighten it down. You put it back. Put your sight on there. So Cy made this sight, or at least most of it. All of it?
well, I didn't. Yeah, I did make all of
Yes.
this.
Yeah, you did.
Absolutely all of this.
Yeah.
The only thing I didn't make is the crosshairs inside.
Crosshairs in the front aperture.
And that front cylinder around the crosshairs.
But you loosen that up for elevation. You twist down here to raise and lower the gun. You move the device itself for windage. And that target is an indication that he could do it. What was the range? You took it over to a target shoot over around Bend, right?
Yeah, this is a 200 yard shot.
200-yard pattern. Look at that, my friends. Pretty darn good. So incidentally, it wasn't just the turning of the big components. It was cutting the threads on the breech plug, both male and female, and the riflings, okay? They're threads, essentially. Very lazy twist. And it's the riflings in a barrel that account for the accuracy, right?
Yes.
It's spinning, right? Rifling is the difference between a musket and a rifle. But the story of I came up here. I hadn't known him very long. I knew he was making this. I came up here one day and he said, "Here, help me twist this, will you?" And he pulled out a piece of 3/4 by 3/4 cold rolled steel, about
4 feet.
4 feet long.
It was a little longer than
Yeah.
that. 4 feet's what we twisted.
That's right. In fact, it was about like that rod right there. So it was a piece of steel just about like this, only a foot longer. And he said, "Here, help me twist that, will you?" I thought, well, sure, you got a forge big enough to heat that? No, we're not going to do it hot. We're going to do it cold. Pardon me? Yeah, we're going to do it cold. So you were 70 then, let's say, round numbers, 2 years older than I am right now. And he had one end of that bar with a crescent wrench on it or a bending wrench or something, and I had the other end. And he twisted left and I twisted right out in the air, like just out in the air. And right out in the air, we put one complete revolution of twist in a piece of 3/4 cold rolled cold. And the reason he wanted to do it cold was, if it was hot, it might not be evenly hot and you might get an uneven twist, right? And you can use an uneven twist for a progressive twist in a barrel, but you wanted a uniform twist. So anyhow, you're pleased.
Right.
And you same method on that other barrel?
Yeah. I broached a hole in a piece of steel, square hole that the 3/4 rod would go through, and then we made a 3-point dividing head that bolted to the breech, and we turned it.
What'd you use to pull it? A come-along?
No, I had a hydraulic cylinder that I'd built with a little hydraulic motor on it. Pulled it through.
And then bring it back and twist it one notch and do it again?
Well, we did several times. We had a progressive cutter on it, so we got a little deeper. It worked pretty good. Didn't take forever. Broke it several times in the process.
Point is, his mantra has always been he wanted a shop in which he could do anything, because he knew in his heart of hearts he could do anything. So this mortar is a model of the Dictator, like we mentioned, Civil War, leveled Savannah, all of that.
Yeah.
3 pieces, unlike not as many pieces, 1, 2, 3, kinda.
Yeah.
Kinda. And it shoots a bowling ball. How high do you think you can send a bowling ball with this?
Right at 3,000 feet.
3,000 feet. It's fun.
Yeah.
It's fun.
I have yet to shoot it in front of a bunch of people and not hear somebody say, "Holy shit!"
So this cannon was used as the reveal, the center of a reveal party on the gender of your first great-granddaughter.
Yes.
Yeah. The picture you're looking at right now is Cy touching off his mortar with a big bag of pink powder in there. So anyway, if you haven't got the picture, you can see that learning to be a machinist has greatly augmented this guy's life and the lives of almost everyone that knows him.
And I don't call myself a machinist.
I know.
I can make the thing go round and I can make the tools go back and forth.
You get the work done.
I have friends that are machinists.
I understand. Phil Roca says that people who just make things just to make them work, not to a tight specification, are carving. They're carving. You're a steel carver.
Okay.
You're a blacksmith and a
take
steel
that.
carver.
I'll take that. But I'm not a machinist. I really am not.
Yeah, so he says.
I know machinists.
He knows a machinist. But anyway, I hope now that you know something more about machining, I hope you have an increased appreciation of old school equipment and an old school approach to doing wonderful old school things. Thank you for watching Essential Craftsman, and keep up the good work.